Welcome back from April break. Welcome to Flora, Ulysses by. And let's not get distracted at all by life. Yes, so anyhow, where were we? Flora, Ulysses. So they think Ulysses the squirrel is actually a superhero, right? And she, Flora, excuse me, she thinks Flora is quite the cynical. She doesn't think very positively about things. We're a little opposite. It rains, I'm like, oh, I get to do a project inside. It rains for her, and she's like, oh, it always rains. So she's cynical. She thinks of the negative side of everything. But now, she has found something to think positive about. Right, Messiah? That apple looks delicious. Why don't you sit the right way in your chair and pick up your coat and put it in your backpack?
I'm gonna wear my donuts, so I can't eat that.
He sat in front of the machine. I don't know who he is yet, but that's how they started the chapter. The inadvertent eye. It was different from Flora's mother's typewriter. There was a blank screen instead of paper, and the whole contraption glowed, emitting a warm but not entirely friendly smell. The keyboard was familiar, though. Each of the letters was there, each of them in the same place. Flora and Tootie stood behind him, and William Spiver, the boy with the dark glasses, stood behind him, too. This was an important moment. Ulysses understood that very well. So, the squirrel is at the computer. That's interesting. Everything depended on him typing something. He had to do it for Flora. His whiskers trembled. He could feel them trembling. He could see them trembling. What could he do? He turned and sniffed his tail. There was nothing he could do except to be himself, to try to make the letters on the keyboard speak the truth of his heart, to work to make them reveal the essence of the squirrel he was. But what was the truth? And what kind of squirrel was he? He looked around the room. There was a tall window. Outside the window was a tall, green world. And the blue sky. Inside there were shelves and shelves of books. And on the wall above the keyboard was a picture of a man and a woman floating over the city. They were suspended in a golden light. The man was holding the woman, and she had one arm flung out in front of her as if she were pointing to the way home. Ulysses liked the woman's face. She reminded him of Flora. Looking at the painting made the squirrel feel warm inside, certain of something. Whoever had painted this picture loved the floating man and woman. He loved the city they floated above, and he loved the golden light. Ulysses could tell, just as Ulysses loved the green world outside in the blue sky, and Flora's round head. His whiskers stopped trembling. What's happening? William Spiver asked. Nothing, said Flora. He's gone into some kind of trance, said Tootie. Shh, said Flora. Ulysses inched closer to the keyboard. It was beautiful to the squirrel to see the letter appear out of nowhere. Well, what is it? What's the letter? It is an I, William Sliver. But that proves nothing. Of course anyone can inadvertently hit the I. You don't have to be a superhero to type an I. Would you please hush up? William said. Will you please hush up, William, she said. The squirrel typed. The people waited. The people waited. destiny be stirred itself. Chapter 20.
What?
So chapter 19 was all about getting that squirrel inside to type to prove that he was a superhero. Chapter 20. This is how long chapter 20 is.
What?
This is chapter 20.
What? Are you serious?
No. I'm always serious.
Wait.
Let me read chapter 20, what it said. That's the name of the title, what it said. I love your round head, the brilliant green, the watching blue, these letters, this world, you.
What the what?
I am very, very hungry.
Oh.
That is like what the squirrel is thinking. I love your round head. So he loves Flora's round head.
I love your round head.
The brilliant green. That's the outside. Oh, the brilliant green. Ooh, yeah.
There's a fish on the screen. Go that way? Fish in my
The watching blue. What does she watch with? Her blue eyes. These letters. This world. You. I am very, very hungry. Remember, that's all he thinks about. Chapter 21. Yeah, that was chapter 20. Poetry. It was like 4 lines even. They were sitting in Tootie's office. Tootie was on the couch with a package of frozen peas on her head. She had fainted. Unfortunately, so that means not fortunate because un is the opposite. She had hit her head on the edge of the desk on the way down. Fortunately, Flora had remembered in the issue of Terrible Things Can Happen to You, advising a bag of frozen peas made an excellent cold compress to provide comfort and reduce swelling. Read it one more time, said William Spliver to Flora. She read it again. The squirrel wrote poetry? Said Tootie in a voice filled with wonder. Keep those peas on your head, said Flora. I don't get the last part, said William Spliver. The part about hunger. What does that mean? Huh. What does it mean, girls and boys? You can analyze it. A squirrel who always thinks of eating, nonstop, 24/7, says, I'm very, very hungry.
I play video games.
I'm very, very hungry. What does it mean?
I'm hungry.
Always thinking about,
Food. Angry. I'm angry.
he wasn't hangry, he was just hungry. He was feeling loved. Remember that picture made him feel loved? Flora turned away from the computer and looked at William Spiver's dark glasses and saw again her round head, her pajama reflection in his glasses. It means he's hungry. He hasn't had any breakfast. Oh, I see. It's literal. Means he's just hungry. Ulysses was standing on his hind legs beside the computer. He nodded hopefully. It's poetry, said Tootie from the couch. Ulysses puffed out his chest the tiniest bit. That means he was proud. You usually puff up when you're proud. You slouch when you're not proud. But you puff up when you are proud. Well, it might be poetry, said William Spiver, but it's not great poetry. It's not even good poetry. What does it all mean? Why does it have to mean something, said William. The universe is a random place. Oh, for heaven's sake, William, said Tootie. Flora felt something well up inside her, so it filled up inside her. What was it? Pride in the squirrel? Annoyance at William? Wonder? Hope? Suddenly she remembered the words that appeared over Alfred T. Slipper's head when he was submerged in a vat of incandisto. Remember, he is the superhero janitor in the stories that she reads. Do you doubt him? Do not. So she is thinking about that
I love it when it
with her superhero. And now she's thinking about that with her squirrel. Do you doubt him? Do not. Of course I doubt him, said William Spliver. Do not, said Flora. Why? She stared at him. Take off your glasses. I want to see your eyes. No, said William.
no.
Take them off. I won't, said William. Children, please, said Tootie. Who was William Spiver really? Yes, yes, he was the great nephew of Tootie, the neighbor. Suddenly, suspiciously, come to stay this summer. But who was he really? What if he was some kind of comic book character himself? What if he was the villain whose powers were depleted as soon as the light of the world hit his eyes? Wow, does she have an imagination? Incandista was forever being attacked by his arch nemesis, the darkness of 10,000 hands. Nemesis is your biggest enemy. You might have little enemies, annoyance enemies, but the nemesis is your biggest challenge. The truth must be known, said Flora. She stepped forward. She reached out her hand to remove William Spliver's glasses. And then she heard her name. Flora! Your father's here! Flora Bell! Flora Bell, said William Spiver in a gentle voice. Oh, in a gentle voice. Flora Bell, said William Spliver in a gentle voice. Ulysses was sitting on his hind legs. His ears were perked. He looked back and forth between Flora and William. We have to go, said Flora. Wait, said William Spiver. Flora picked up Ulysses by the scruff of the neck. That's back here. She put him under her pajama top. Will I ever see you again? Said Spliver. The universe is a random place, William Spiver, said Flora. Who can say whether we will meet again or not? Bum, bum, bum.